Astute Quotations, Part 29. The man who occupies the top position seldom plays the principal part. Goethe. A world of vested interests is not a world that welcomes the disruptive force of candor. Agnes Repplier, American essayist, 1855 to 1950. We can't really love anybody with whom we never laugh. Agnes Repplier. Kiss me again, once more. Commands to be obeyed when issued by a woman. Novelist Lawrence Durrell, 1912 to 1990. A woman's best love letters are always written to the man she is betraying. Lawrence Durrell. Knowledge is more than equivalent to force. The master of mechanics laughs at strength. Samuel Johnson. Be wiser than other people if you can, but don't tell them so. Lord Chesterfield, 1694 to 1773. Nothing sways the stupid more than arguments they can't understand. Cardinal de Retz, 1613 to 1679. It is an anomaly that information should be a commodity subject to the same merchandising rules as chewing gum. Journalist A.J. Liebling. And of course, the same principle applies to the music industry. Wisdom sets boundaries, even to knowledge. Try as we may to make a silence, we cannot. Composer John Cage. An error is simply a failure to adjust immediately from a preconception to an actuality. John Cage. The ability to wait while conditions develop is a requisite of practical policy. German Chancellor Otto von Bismarck. All knowledge that is divorced from justice must be called cunning. Plato. Communities begin by building their kitchen. French proverb. Cooks are not to be taught in their own kitchen. English proverb. When the cook and the waiter argue, we find out who stole the butter. Dutch proverb. Throughout my life as a composer, I have learned chiefly through my mistakes and pursuits of false assumptions, not by my exposure to founts of wisdom and knowledge. Igor Stravinsky. You can only find truth with logic if you've already found truth without it. G.K. Chesterton. The truth is unfigure-outable. Werner Erhard, one of the 5 greatest minds of the past 100 years. Failing organizations are usually overmanaged and under-led. Warren Bennis, leadership expert. A single lie destroys a whole reputation for integrity. Gracian, 1601 to 1658. There are no things, only processes. Physicist David Bohm. The most malicious liars are those who keep sliding on the verge of truth. Augustus William Hare, 1827. We often get in quicker by the back door than by the front. Napoleon. Rashness succeeds often. Still more often, it fails. Napoleon. Unhappy the general who comes onto the field of battle with a system. Napoleon. You must not fight too often with one enemy, or you will teach him all of your tricks. Napoleon. Don't talk to me about naval tradition. It's nothing but rum, sodomy, and the lash. Winston Churchill. Rum, Sodomy, and the Lash. Title of the masterpiece album from the Pogues, one of the multitude of genius-level European groups basically banned from American rock stations in order to make room for corporate numbnuts like Van Halen, Pearl Jam, and Loverboy. You dirty double-crossing rat. Actor James Cagney, 1931. When a country is in disorder, loyal men appear. Japanese proverb. Courage without discretion is useless. Philippine proverb. The best cloth has uneven threads. Spanish proverb. None of us can know what we're capable of until we are tested. Elizabeth Blackwell, the first woman to receive a medical degree in the United States. Music with dinner is an insult, both to the cook and the violinist. G.K. Chesterton. He who obeys with prudence exercises partial control. Publilius Syrus, 1st century A.D. An angry father is most cruel toward himself. Publilius. The more prompt the refusal, the less the disappointment. Publilius. Get thee to a nunnery. From Hamlet. Women are taught early that to appear to yield is the only way to govern. Sarah Moore Grimke, social reformer, 1792 to 1873. Obscurity often means safety. Aesop. The quarrels of friends are the opportunities of foes. Aesop. Stubbornness and stupidity are twins. Sophocles. Too much zeal offends where subtlety works. The wisest men follow their own direction. Euripides. Talk sense to a fool, and he calls you foolish. Euripides. Full of courtesy, full of craftiness. English proverb. A fisherman can see another fisherman from afar. Russian proverb. Never tell your opponent that your foot hurts. English proverb. A field cannot well be seen from within the field. Ralph Waldo Emerson. All the great speakers were bad speakers at first. Emerson. The highest virtue is always against the law. Emerson. Most of you guys underdress for dates. Doc Love. When you reach the top, that's when the climb begins. Actor Michael Caine. The art is in getting noticed naturally without screaming or without tricks. Advertising executive Leo Burnett. Danger breeds best upon overconfidence. Corneille, French playwright. A liar is always making promises. Corneille. Avoid any foe who knows your weaknesses. Corneille. Tune in, turn on, drop out. Timothy Leary, 1966. Timothy Leary's dead. Oh no, he's on the outside, looking in. The Moody Blues. The instinct of a man is to pursue everything that flies from him, and to fly from all that pursues him. Voltaire. Delays in love are dangerous. Scottish proverb. He who hurries cannot walk with dignity. Chinese proverb. Serious disasters come from small causes. Japanese proverb. A good, reliable set of bowels is worth more to a man than any quantity of brains. Josh Billings, American humorist, 1818 to 1885. If you need something from somebody, always give that person a way to hand it to you. Novelist Sue Monk Kidd. Our safety lies not in blindness, but in confronting our dangers. German philosopher Friedrich Schiller. I come from Des Moines, Iowa. Somebody had to. Author Bill Bryson. When I saw I was under attack from all sides, I knew I was on the right track. Artist Man Ray. He who confronts the paradoxical exposes himself to reality. Friedrich Dürrenmatt, Swiss dramatist. What most men desire is a virgin who is a whore. Novelist Edward Dahlberg. If he's getting married, he's no longer interesting. Colette, French novelist. No one asked you to be happy. Get to work. Colette. The fox blames the trap, not himself. William Blake. Ever has it been that love knows not its own depth until the hour of separation. Khalil Gibran. People who have no weaknesses are terrible. There's no way to take advantage of them. Anatole France, French man of letters, 1884 to 1924. We thought because we had power that we had wisdom. Stephen Vincent Benet, American novelist. Power takes as ingratitude the writhing of its victims. Rabindranath Tagore, winner of the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1913. Everything comes to us that belongs to us if we create the capacity to receive it. Rabindranath Tagore. Pretentious? Moi? John Cleese on the BBC comedy Fawlty Towers. A pig that has two owners is sure to die of hunger. English proverb. No one tests the depth of a river with both feet. African proverb. The distinction between big and little does not apply to snakes. proverb from southern India. A rejection of the way a woman speaks is often a way of dismissing her without dealing with what she's saying. Gloria Steinem. Meanness lies more in half-doing than in omitting acts of generosity. Elbert Hubbard, 1856 to 1915. Intuition? Bull. Women, in fact, are the supreme realists of our race. H.L. Mencken. The urge to save humanity is almost always just a false face for the urge to rule it. H.L. Mencken. Being a thief myself, I recognized the tracks of a thief. Callimachus, 3rd century BC. Some people think having large breasts makes women stupid. Actually, it's quite the opposite. A woman with large breasts makes men stupid. Comedian Rita Rudner. My mother never breastfed me. She told me she only liked me as a friend. Rodney Dangerfield. Looking at cleavage is like looking at the sun. You get a sense of it, and then you turn away. Comedian Jerry Seinfeld. It is madness for a sheep to talk peace with a wolf. Thomas Fuller, clergyman, historian, 1608 to 1661. If you leap into a well, Providence is not obligated to fetch you out. Dr. Thomas Fuller, 1654 to 1734. If only we could see in advance all the harm that can come from the good we think that we're doing. Luigi Pirandello, Italian playwright. Do what you must and let the people talk. German proverb. No one is as busy as he who does nothing. French proverb. No one becomes a good doctor before he's filled up a graveyard. Swedish proverb. The mind resorts to reason for lack of training. Henry Adams. The last function of reason is to recognize there are an infinity of things that surpass it. Blaise Pascal, French mathematician. Reason enslaves all whose minds aren't strong enough to master her. George Bernard Shaw. The faults of the burglar are the qualities of the financier. George Bernard Shaw. The need to be right, the sign of a vulgar mind. Albert Camus. From a woman's mouth, no is not a negative. Sir Philip Sidney, 1590. Without wearing any mask we are conscious of, we have a special face for each friend. Oliver Wendell Holmes, Sr. A technical objection is the first refuge of a scoundrel. Sports writer Haywood Broun, 1888 to 1939. Those we call saints rebelled against an outmoded and inadequate form of God on the basis of their new insights into divinity. Psychologist Rollo May. Women can always be caught. That's the first rule of the game. Ovid, From the Art of Love, 1st century A.D. I hate a woman who offers herself because she feels obligated, then, cold and dry, thinks only of her sewing while she's making love. Ovid, from The Art of Love. Many women long for what eludes them, and they don't like what is offered to them. Ovid. What one beholds of a woman is the least part of her. Ovid. He who wants to hang the dog insists that it bites the sheep. Danish proverb. The dog doesn't learn how to swim until the water reaches his ears. Russian proverb. The dog doesn't bark for you, he barks for your food. Portuguese proverb. People who are uncomfortable with themselves are disagreeable to others. William Hazlitt, English writer, 1778 to 1830. He who undervalues himself is justly undervalued by others. William Hazlitt. The first act of insight is to throw away the labels. Eudora Welty, winner of the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1973. The best defense against partisanship is expertise. Roger Angell, baseball writer for the New Yorker magazine. It is folly for a man to pray to the gods for that which he has the power to obtain for himself. Epicurus, 3rd century BC. The friend who understands you creates you. Romain Rolland, French dramatist, winner of the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1915. I don't play against any particular team. I play against the idea of losing. Eric Cantona, Manchester United. We can be eaten by technique and forget what we have inside of us. Eric Cantona. When the waitress puts the dinner on the table, the old men look at the dinner. The young men look at the waitress. Gillette Burgess, a literary figure in San Francisco in the 1890s. Solemnity is the shield of idiots. Montesquieu, 1689 to 1755, or depending where you're from, Montesquieu. Even sleepers are workers and collaborators in what goes on in the universe. Heraclitus, 5th century BC. The voice is a second face. French author Gerard Bauer. The human soul is very much older than the human mind. Nobel Prize winner Konrad Lorenz, 1983. While the dogs are growling at each other, the wolf devours the sheep. French proverb. The donkey knows 7 ways to swim, but when he falls into the water, he forgets them all. Armenian proverb. Drunkenness reveals what sobriety conceals. English proverb. The laws of science do not distinguish between the past and the future. Physicist Stephen Hawking. People who boast about their IQs are losers. Stephen Hawking. Never praise a woman to her sister in the hope that your compliments will reach the proper ears. Rudyard Kipling. A person who longs to leave the place where he lives is an unhappy person. Novelist Milan Kundera. break a leg, a theatrical expression of unknown origin based in part upon the superstition that it's bad luck to wish another good luck before a performance. Description of the rock band Rush. This Canadian power trio, which boasts a vocalist who sounds like a cross between Donald Duck and Robert Plant, reached its pinnacle of success the day it was discovered by Circus magazine and turned into fanzine wall decoration material. Rolling Stone Record Guide, 1979. I don't even know what street Canada is on. Attributed to gangster Al Capone. Truth knocks on your door and you say, "Go away, I'm looking for the truth." And so it goes away. Robert Pirsig from Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, 1974. Truths may clash without contradicting each other. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. The face of tyranny is always mild at first. Racine, French dramatist. What's the use of a good quotation if you can't change it? Doctor Who. Excess detracts from perfection. Greek proverb. The hen's eyes are on her eggs. Spanish proverb. He who asks the fewest favors is the most welcome. Spanish proverb. No woman gets an orgasm from shining the kitchen floor. Betty Friedan, author of The Feminine Mystique. Women fake orgasms and men fake finances. Financial journalist Susie Orman. I would win overwhelmingly if the Academy gave an Oscar for faking orgasms. Marilyn Monroe. The trouble with censors is that they worry if a girl has cleavage. They should worry if she hasn't any. Marilyn Monroe. Integrity is the orgasm. That's something I haven't any control over. Doris Lessing, British author. An orgasm a day keeps the doctor away. Mae West. The only thing that saves the world is the tiny handful of disinterested men that are in it. President Woodrow Wilson. There are no grades of vanity. There are only grades of ability in concealing it. Mark Twain. If one is interested in the relations between fields which, according to customary academic divisions, belong to different departments, then he will not be welcomed as a builder of bridges, as he might have expected, but will rather be regarded by both sides as an outsider and troublesome intruder. German philosopher Rudolf Carnap. With women, the heart argues, not the mind. Poet Matthew Arnold, 1822 to 1888. Don't condescend to unskilled labor. Try it for half a day first. New York Times drama critic Brooks Atkinson. The writer is only half the book. The other half is the reader. Author Lois Lowry. Every no means you're that much closer to a yes. Lois Lowry. I ran that newspaper, the Daily Express, purely for propaganda. and with no other purpose. Lord Beaverbrook. Believing truth is like staring at the sun. Hilar Balak, writer, historian, 1870 to 1953. The art of leadership is saying no, not yes. It is very easy to say yes. Prime Minister Tony Blair. Anyone who is not shocked by this subject, quantum mechanics, has failed to understand it. Physicist Niels Bohr. And this completes Astute Quotations.